So over our shoulder here, you can see the brand new DIY vertical garden planter box that I just built. And in case you're finding this video first, if you want to see how it is built, you can check out my second channel, Simply Easy DIY. And over there, I have the video of the actual build process for the vertical garden planter. Now, it's interesting to note that this project was actually a collaboration with Julianne from Dirt Patch Heaven. She has a channel, a homesteading channel, in which she has all sorts of videos to help you be more self-sufficient on whatever size homestead that you call home. So if you haven't seen her yet, head over to her channel. You can check the description. She actually gave me sort of this different perspective. Of course, here we only have 1/4 of an acre. And so it just makes sense to garden vertically. Because I live here in Central Florida, and the coldest that it gets here is mid-30s. And so we don't really have to think about what to do in the wintertime. In fact, the wintertime is when we're able to grow our best crops. So thinking about what to do in a cold environment isn't something that I spend a lot of time putting a lot of thought into. So I know Julianne had some very interesting points to be had about what she was looking for in a vertical garden planter. And so here are some of the things that she had to say.
Hey guys, my name is Julianne and my channel is Dirt Patch Heaven, where we talk about everything self-reliant. We grow all of our own meat here on our 1.5 acre little homestead. We do a lot of gardening. We homeschool. Generally, I just love to be outdoors. So the collaboration that I wanted to do with Stan is that everything that we grow has to be out of the ground. We have either poisonous soil or we have cobblestones. And so most of our gardening situations are in raised beds. And when I say raised beds, I don't mean like raised beds, I mean raised beds. So in our greenhouse, what we've done is we have a hotbed system to raise things up out of our dirt. But they're not very portable, and over time they break down. And what Stan is thinking about doing is building a vertical planter that can be moved. Now, the advantage of having a vertical planter that can be moved is that you can put something like a fig or a kiwi in it, something that is not native or hardy to your zone, and you can grow it out on a warm deck during the summer, but then you can take it into your greenhouse. Or if you have a living room or a basement with a good window that has a little bit of sunlight coming into it, you can move it without having to repot it and stressing your plant. You can move it to something that's just a little bit warmer so that it doesn't die in the winter. And so I'm excited to see what he does. For someone like me that lives in a very cold environment, having something like that that can be moved is just absolutely vital. So thanks for having me on, and I hope all of you will come and check out our channel and see what we do to be self-reliant. And we'll talk to you later.
So obviously, one of the first things that you do for a project like this is you gather your materials. Now, I was lucky. I had most of the materials in my workshop already. I usually just go and buy extra lumber whenever I get some extra money, and I keep it stored in my workshop. So pretty much just about everything that I needed, I had in there already. And then obviously, I needed some dirt, because here in Florida, we don't actually have viable dirt to be able to grow plants in. It's sand, and it's actually called builder's sand. So obviously, we don't have the dirt to be able to grow anything here. We have to actually bring that in. And so I had to go to the home improvement store and get some compost. So after getting back from the home improvement store, that evening, it was actually time to put a coat over the exterior of the vertical garden planter. Oh, one of the things that I wanted to mention was that I tried to keep this as simple and easy as possible. One of the original designs that I had was the planter boxes actually were tapered. So they were smaller on the bottom than they were on the top. And that meant cutting angles into the sides of the planter boxes. And I kind of wanted to get away from that, because I understand that some people sort of go cross-eyed when you start talking about putting angles in the projects. And when you start talking about 23 degrees and 45 degrees, that people tend to shy away from those projects. And I really wanted this to be a project that, whether you have a table saw or a miter saw or no saw at all, maybe all you have is just a hand saw and a screwdriver, and that's all you have. I still wanted this project to be something that you could still build. And so I wanted to keep all of the angles out of it. I didn't want it to be intimidating at all. I also wanted it to be something that could be easily maintained throughout the years. 2 or 3 years down the road, even if you use pallet wood for this project, I wanted someone to be feel secure in doing that, knowing that should that wood fail somewhere down the road, it's that easy to be able to just remove some screws and put some fresh boards on there and keep your planter going. So the project was simple and easy, and it was also quick as well, because it only took me, I think I started around 1 or 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday afternoon, and I think by dinner I was done. So it was maybe 4 hours at the most. And keep in mind that I was even video recording everything that I was doing, and sometimes that sort of slows you down on a project because you have to stop and think about where you're at in the video as opposed to where the camera is, because you can't just set the camera somewhere and then just start doing stuff, because you may be between the project and the camera. And in fact, I actually make a joke about that in the project video, because there was a time where I set the camera up and the camera was actually behind me, and so what you see is
your backside
is the back of my arm.
It's crazy. The back of your arm.
And you would think, I've been doing this long enough now that you would think that I've got a system set up and that I wouldn't do that.
Not really.
But I still do that from time to time. So some of the things that we decided to put in our planter boxes. Now, I have to admit, we did actually go to the home improvement store and buy some plants, and we don't normally do that.
It's way too expensive.
It's way too expensive. So what we normally do is just save our own seeds.
Yeah.
And do seed starts. In fact, I have a video coming up here pretty soon about how we do our seed starts. But for this project, what we did actually, we cheated, because just for videography purposes, we didn't want to show a planter box that was just filled with dirt.
No, that's not exciting at all.
So we wanted to actually have some greenery in there, and we didn't actually have any seed starts. Now, had we had our heads together, I guess we could have started seed starts a few weeks back. So what were some of the things that we stuck in the planter boxes?
We had butter crunch lettuce. We had 8 of them, so we were able to take up 2 of the buckets. And then on one of the tops, we had peppers, and the other one were 3 strawberry plants.
Now on the bottom, all we didn't actually buy tomato plants.
We just clipped them and stuck them in.
Yeah, we have some tomato plants growing just behind us right here. And so what I did is I just cut some suckers off of that and then stuck those in the bottom portion of the planter box. So you have to be careful where your sun is coming from and where it's going, and don't set the garden planter up in such a way where the vertical portion of it is actually going to shade out the bottom base of it. So in my case, I actually did that, and at some point I realized it, but we had already filled the bottom in with dirt, and so I had to actually get down and move that around. I moved it 90 degrees. It can still be done. It's small enough to be able to do that. Now, one of the things that I had also thought about is that the base unit can actually be moved as well. If you decide to put a bottom on the bottom of the vertical garden planter, and then you could put some handles on the side, and with the aid of 2 people, you could actually pick this up and move it into a garden. I think that it would be still light enough. It's still small enough. It would still be light enough to be able to do that. And also, I made sure that the size of it was small enough so that it'll actually fit through a standard size doorway. So if you have a greenhouse with a standard size doorway, you should be able to get this through there. So that's also an option as well. I really like to design a lot of my projects with as much versatility as they can possibly be. There's no reason that they can't be nice, that they can't be beautiful, but there's no reason that means it has to be overly complicated as well. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see how this vertical garden planter is built, that video is on your left. Don't forget to check out Julianne over at Dirt Patch Heaven. The link on your right will take you over to her. Until then.